the Nexus Tribunal wasn't built for comfort. Suspended in low orbit above the neutral moon of Sirith, the station resembled a shattered ring, beautiful in a terrifying, judicial sort of way. Inside, everything gleamed with the polished indifference of alien law. Captain Elian Ward stood at the edge of the council floor, his boots echoing across obsidian tiles that absorbed more than sound. His Earth-made uniform, trimmed and sharp, looked almost barbaric next to the flowing robes, neural filaments, and breathing tendrils of the assembled delegates. Humanity was, as always, underdressed for the occasion. He smirked. "Your expression lacks reverence," a voice chided. Elian turned slightly. Ambassador Karan, a 10-eyed diplomat from the Sile race, towered beside him, swaying gently on his 6 legs. His voice dripped with static calm. "I left my reverence in orbit," Elian said. "Along with my patience." A gavel-shaped construct pulsed violet. Silence fell. At the center of the chamber stood High Seer Vorakesh, flanked by 2 Mind Guard sentinels. Her body was tall and willowy, veins of bioluminescence pulsing beneath translucent skin. The folds of her crimson robe shimmered with latent psychic energy. Vorakesh didn't speak. She projected. "Humanity resists all soul probing. This anomaly is unacceptable." The words bypassed language and hit the mind directly. Elian felt the hair on his arms rise. "We must determine if the Earth species is shielding a psychic weapon, or if they are the weapon." Whispers rippled through the crowd, buzzing, hissing, clicking languages snapping in surprise. Elian stepped forward, eyes scanning the rows of alien faces. "You want to read me? Rip open my head, take a look inside. Isn't that the polite thing to do on a first date?" No one laughed. Not even the friendly ones. He continued, voice calm but edged. "You call it a soul peering. We call it a violation. But if it means clearing Earth's name, fine. Read me. Just don't expect the ending to make sense." Vorakesh descended the platform. Her steps made no sound. The crowd hushed. She approached Elian slowly, with the reverence of someone nearing a wild animal or a god. A psychic node was lowered, a crystalline diadem suspended on a gravitic tether. It pulsed once, then hovered above Elian's head. He looked up at it. "Just so we're clear," he said, "if I start screaming, you have my permission to sedate me." "Hard." She raised her hand. The moment her fingers touched his temple, the lights dimmed. A pulse echoed through the chamber, like the deep thrum of a storm miles away. Elian froze. A warmth surged through his mind, then a pulling, as if someone were peeling memory from bone. Her eyes widened. And then she screamed. The sound wasn't physical, it tore through every listener's mind, a psionic shriek of raw terror. Vorakesh reeled backward, convulsing. Her body twisted, luminous veins flashing red. She collapsed to the ground, hands clawing at invisible enemies, mouth uttering words in languages no one knew. Too many voices, fire in the snow, the child, he's laughing in the fire, make it stop. Panic erupted. Sentinels rushed forward. A telekinetic shield flared around her twitching body. Med drones descended from the ceiling, glowing blue arms trying to restrain her. Elian didn't move. The node above him cracked. Ambassador Karan turned to him. "What did you do?" Elian met his gaze. "I stood still." The council chamber spiraled into chaos. Some delegates shouted for Earth's immediate quarantine. Others argued for restraint. Elian's communicator buzzed, command back on Earth was demanding answers. He ignored it. Vorakesh's whisper came through the chamber's speakers, her voice weak but still in the minds of all. "He's not hiding anything. He is the storm." The phrase echoed in silence. A tribunal medic approached Elian cautiously. "Are you experiencing discomfort?" He raised an eyebrow. "Aside from being called a storm?" "Not really." "Her mind is fractured." "You must have." "No." "She asked to see my mind." "She did." Elian stepped back. She just didn't expect to find it burning. 2 Varellan guards flanked him. Not aggressive, yet. Elian sighed. I assume I'm being detained? For your protection, the medic lied. He followed them willingly, not resisting as they guided him down a corridor of psychic dampeners. As the doors sealed behind him, the last thing he heard from the council floor was an alien voice whispering. He didn't break her. He reflected her. In his holding cell, Elian sat alone. The walls hummed softly. He leaned back, staring at the ceiling. She'd touched his mind, and saw everything. The war zones. The frozen base in Antarctica. The fire that took his sister. The first time he held a gun. The last time he held her hand. The chaos. The kindness. The unbearable noise of being human. He closed his eyes. They wanted truth. They just got it. And they weren't ready. Elian Ward stared at the wall. It stared back, blank, metallic, indifferent. The holding cell was more like a high-end tomb, sterile air, soft lights, no clocks. Time moved like syrup here, but the pressure outside was boiling. He hadn't slept. Not really. Not after what she saw. A chime sounded. The door slid open with a hiss. A small figure entered, delicate, four-armed, wrapped in a gray sash of diplomatic neutral. One of the interpreters. Species, Ethery. Name, Nayli. She looked too young to be involved in this mess. Elian Ward, she said gently, her voice layered, as if 2 tones were trying to speak in harmony. They allowed me a moment. No recordings. No observers. He leaned forward. That sounds unofficial. Which usually means important. I was there, she said, pulling a stool close. I felt what she felt. Not the full force, just the edges. Good. Then you didn't drown. She nodded slowly. What was that? My mind, he replied, simply. Same one I've lived in for 34 years. Nayli's eyes blinked sideways. She said you're not hiding anything. But you're made of too many pieces. That it's like walking through a burning library where every book is screaming. Elian gave a short laugh. That's poetic for someone who's never had a panic attack in a grocery store. She didn't smile. You think this is funny? I think if I don't laugh, I'll start breaking things. Which, right now, would be politically unwise. There was a pause. Nayli studied him. She didn't just see you. She felt you. And it broke her. I warned her, Elian muttered. We're not built for clarity. We're a tangle of grief and joy and rage and nostalgia. She opened the door, thinking she'd find secrets. She found us. He tapped his temple. I've buried things in here. Memories that hurt to touch. But they're not evil. They're just mine. Outside the cell, 2 guards walked past, speaking in low tones. Nayli waited until they were gone. The council is divided, she whispered. Some believe you're a psychic contagion. Others think you're a mirror. But all of them agree on one thing, they're afraid. Elian rubbed his jaw. They should be. But not of me. Of what they can't control. Nayli hesitated. Why do you feel so much? That stopped him. Really stopped him. He looked up at her, and for a second, the mask slipped. Because we remember everything, he said, voice lower. Because love and fear sit in the same room. Because we survive by carrying ghosts. You asked why we feel so much. It's the price of not going numb. Nayli's gaze softened. She's not dead, you know. I figured. She's not whole either. He leaned back. So they'll put Earth on trial. Judge the species by the noise in one man's head. Unless you speak. To whom? To the council. They want a statement. Your truth. Without translation. Elian raised an eyebrow. They want me to explain humanity, in a speech? No, she said carefully. They want to decide whether you're worth surviving. The door opened again. A drone hovered inside, projecting a live feed from the infirmary. Vorakesh lay still, hooked to psionic stabilizers, faint pulses flickering across her translucent skin. Her mouth moved. Nayli turned up the volume. She dreams in knives, the red sand, the mother who never came back. Then silence. She's looping, Nayli whispered. Fragments. Emotions she can't sort. Elian looked away. That's how it feels sometimes. Being human. Like everything's happening at once. Love and terror, past and future, all shouting over each other. Nayli tapped her comm. They're ready for you. He stood slowly, stretching out limbs that had been too still for too long. As he followed her out, a Varellan guard eyed him from the corner of the corridor. Not with hatred, more like disbelief. Nayli escorted him through a narrow hall of shimmering crystal panels. Every few feet, psychic dampeners hummed, adjusting their resonance to his presence. She said something else, Nayli added as they reached the lift. What? That she saw a boy on a battlefield, singing. Elian closed his eyes briefly. Yeah. That happened. Why? Because I was the last one left. And I didn't want to die scared. The lift door opened. The tribunal chamber loomed ahead. You still have a choice, she said. You could leave. Quietly. Never come back. He stepped forward. You don't get it. If I walk away, they'll write us off as monsters. If I speak, maybe they still will. But at least it'll be our voice. As they entered the hall, all conversation died. Elian Ward, one human, walked into a room of hundreds. And none of them could read his mind. Elian Ward stood alone in the center of the tribunal chamber, the air so still it seemed to resist breathing. Above him, tiers of alien delegates watched from their elevated perches, scaled, feathered, metallic, gelatinous. 72 species. One judgment. He could feel their fear, masked behind stoic protocols. He wasn't armed. He hadn't moved with aggression. And still, they looked at him like he might combust. A soft chime. The central spire of the chamber lit up. A projection formed, mist becoming shape, shape becoming memory. Vorakesh's mind record. Her psychic feed of the soul peering was authorized to play for all to see. It began without warning. A child's scream. Then fire. Images twisted through the air, burning buildings, hands reaching from rubble, a mother cradling her dead child, a soldier dragging his wounded comrade through snow. Then, a wedding. A piano. Laughter in a hospital room. A grave. Love. Pain. Joy. Rage. Life. Everything flickered too quickly to name. Feelings bled into each other. There was no order, only experience, raw and unchecked. Some delegates gasped. Others turned away. Vorakesh's voice echoed through the chamber, distorted, desperate. He isn't a mind. He's all of them. The projection froze. The silence that followed was electric. Counselor Drex, a crystalline diplomat from the Tharn Collective, broke it. Is this what your people are? Endless, undifferentiated suffering? Elian raised his chin. No. That's just the part she grabbed first. Explain, rasped a delegate from the scary fold, its voice a dry rustle of chitin. Elian stepped forward. You wanted to understand us. That's the problem. You think understanding is clean. That emotion is a diagram. But humans aren't neat. We're not equations. We're stories. Layered. Messy. Loud. He paused. Let it hang. We remember everything, he continued. Not just facts, feelings. We carry people with us. We hold grief like a song. Joy like a scar. We don't erase pain. We build on it. Counselor Urxa, a floating orb of condensed gas, pulsed green. Your people wage wars on each other. Destroy environments. Create weapons beyond necessity. We also write songs about forgiveness. Rescue strangers from floods. Die for children that aren't ours. We're violent, yes, but we're not only that. He pointed at the frozen projection. You're seeing us with the safety off. Unfiltered humanity. That rush of memory, sensation, emotion? That's Tuesday back home. Some delegates chuckled. It was quiet. But real. High Seer Vorakesh entered then, unannounced. Pale, slower than before, but standing. All eyes turned. She looked at Elian. You held me in your mind, she said aloud. And I survived. I didn't hold you, he corrected. You fell in. I just didn't let you drown. She stepped forward, voice quieter now. I feared the void within you. But I was wrong. It wasn't void. It was depth. The tribunal chair flickered to life, an AI construct that mediated final decisions. Delegates, prepare your vote, quarantine or integration. A row of glowing panels blinked across the tiers. Hands, tentacles, claws, and tendrils moved. One by one, lights flared blue for integration. Red for quarantine. The count began. 13 red. 22 blue. 35 undecided. Still climbing. Elian held his breath, despite himself. At 71 votes, the tally stood. Blue, 39, red, 32. The final delegate, Vorakesh. Every eye turned to her. She stepped to her panel. Her hand hovered. And then, blue. Integration confirmed. Earth would not be cut off. Humanity would remain part of the galactic concord. The room exhaled at once. Elian sat down slowly, his legs finally acknowledging the strain. Nayli approached quietly from the sidelines. You did it, she whispered. He looked up at her, exhausted. No. We did. She looked into the fire and didn't flinch this time. Vorakesh approached. She bowed. To feel as you do, she said, is pain. But it is also truth. You taught me that. Elian gave a half-smile. We don't always know what we're teaching. Sometimes, we're just surviving out loud. She nodded. Then may you never go silent. As the tribunal adjourned, the delegates filed out, still shaken, but changed. Some glanced at Elian with curiosity now, not fear. He didn't wave. Didn't pose. Just breathed. The storm inside him hadn't calmed. But for the first time in a long while, it was understood. Elian stood on the docking platform, the black glass beneath his boots humming faintly with the pulse of the station. Outside the translucent barrier, ships drifted past in gentle orbits, shuttles, carriers, and cruisers from every known corner of the Concord. Earth's envoy transport was waiting. He should have felt triumphant. Vindicated, even. But what lingered wasn't victory, it was weight. A quiet, unmoving gravity that pressed behind his ribs. You're not staying? Nayli asked behind him, her voice careful. Elian turned slightly. She looked different now. More composed, more sure of herself. It wasn't her posture, it was the way she looked through things, not just at them. I gave them what they wanted, he said. Answers, or close enough. Time to get home before they change their minds. They won't, she said. You gave them a path. Even if it scares them. He nodded once. Fear's a start. Understanding follows. Maybe. Nayli hesitated. The seer wants to speak to you. One last time. Elian didn't flinch, but he didn't move either. She recovered quickly. She says she didn't recover. She adapted. That made him pause. Finally, he followed her down the corridor. The meditation chamber they entered wasn't sterile like the others. The lights were dimmed to an amber hue, the walls lined with living moss from Dayari jungles. A small fountain murmured in the corner, its sound oddly human, like someone whispering to themselves. Vorakesh stood at the center. No robes. No sentinels. Just her, tall, pale, fragile as fog. You came, she said softly. I don't break promises, Elian replied. A beat of silence. When I touched your mind, she began, I thought I would see layers. Compartmentalized thought. Memories categorized like scrolls. That's how we store pain, out of reach, under control. We don't have scrolls, he said. No, she agreed. You have echoes. You live with your wounds instead of sealing them. That's hard to watch. Harder to feel. He exhaled, slow and sharp. You saw more than I wanted you to. I saw enough to understand something critical. She stepped closer. Your pain doesn't define you. But you carry it like a foundation. Like it gives shape to your strength. Elian looked away. That wasn't the point. But it was the truth. He didn't argue. She stepped to the fountain, trailing her fingers in the water. You're going to be studied. Admired. Feared. Some will try to weaponize what you are. Others will try to replicate it. But they'll all miss the same thing. What's that? That your strength isn't in what you survived. It's in what you remembered. Elian crossed his arms. We don't all have your clarity. We screw things up. We fight stupid wars. We run from what hurts and call it strategy. She turned. And still, you feel. Deeply. Constantly. It's terrifying and astonishing. He didn't know what to say to that. Vorakesh studied him. Why did you come here, really? You already know. I want you to say it. Elian paused. His voice came quiet, steady. Because I wanted them to see we weren't animals. That we weren't monsters just because we bleed louder. She nodded. And now? Now, he looked up at the ceiling, at the layered lights shaped like constellations. Now I want us to be more than tolerated. I want us known. Then lead with your fire, she said. But teach them how not to burn. The words landed with weight. She approached and extended her hand, not to read, not to probe, just to touch. Elian looked at it, then took it without hesitation. No screaming this time, he said. Only peace. They held the gesture for a breath too long, then let go. As he turned to leave, she spoke once more. You are not the storm, Elian Ward. He stopped in the doorway. You're the eye of it. The place where everything calms, for just long enough to see what matters. He left without replying. Back at the ship, the hatch opened with a hiss. The pilot nodded, but didn't speak. Everyone on board had seen the broadcast. No one wanted to say the wrong thing. Elian strapped in. As the ship detached and turned toward Earth, the stars stretched out like threads. He looked through the viewport. The galaxy suddenly seemed smaller, but far more alive. Behind him, an entire species had finally seen what it meant to be human. And for once, they didn't look away.